Namaste. Today is August 18th and it is time for another podcast. I am in conversation with Pandit Atul Krishna, and again we are going back to the Vedic stories and the pearls of wisdom in Vedas and Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, which can help us in this very, very hard time that we are experiencing in America. Pandit Atul Krishna, all yours. What would you like to say?
Thank you, Manjula ji. So first I want to say that this is indeed a very, very hard time, and we live in a time where there is a huge crisis of humanism, where people who have power are choosing to neglect dealing with human beings with respect. Now, this is really a problem, because if we cannot respect the life in others, it means that there is something fundamentally wrong with us. It is fundamentally wrong on a moral level, and it is also fundamentally wrong on a spiritual level. But the root cause of this disease is actually our misidentification with matter. We have identified material enjoyment as the goal of life, and following such conclusions, we neglect everything else. And so we think of everything in terms of I, me, and mine. We think of I as I am this body. We think of me as I am this body is everything, and enjoyment of the body is everything to me. And mine is my family members, my fellow countrymen and countrywomen, people who are of my gender, my class, my race, my ethnicity, my nationality. They are connected to me and others are not. But Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures tell us that we are actually spiritual beings. We are sparks of spiritual energy, and that there is a life within all beings, and that life is sacred. And we should respect life, and we should not see things in terms of these boundaries. Nationalist boundaries, social boundaries, ethnic boundaries, racial boundaries. These are all breeding grounds for inauspicious things, for hatred, jealousy, excessive pride, which leads to so many problems. So really, the problem is fairly obvious. The problem is this lack of respect, where some people will see, hey, we're putting children in cages and that's okay because their parents did something wrong. This is absolutely insane. But the root cause is ignorance, and it's ignorance of a spiritual reality. It's ignorance that there is life within all of us, and that life deserves respect.
So, it's an interesting point you mentioned: my this, my that, my my I. iPhone, I this, I very much. But there is no I, because we are not this body. What about like the color of the skin? If we are all Atma, we are all soul, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Divine, one little spark of the Supreme Divine. So what does it matter? I am brown, you're white. And we are so obsessed with the color of her skin, how that makes us inferior or superior or whatever. What does it? Why does the world run on this, and why do these things matter, and what does Bhagavad Gita say about that?
Well, that's a very interesting question. How does it all begin? As soon as we're born into this world, We are born, we are a very small baby. We are just barely beginning to see shapes and focus on things. And we have a lot of affection and love, and people come and dote over us and coo over us. And we feel, oh, this is very nice. But then sometimes we're neglected, or our diaper needs to be changed, and we feel distress and we cry. And this begins a cycle of pleasure and distress that focuses on the body, and it focuses on our bodily connection. So this happens naturally. This is called the state of the embodied soul, or the bound jivatma, or buddha jiv. We are bound to matter. We are connected, and that connection is at the layer of ahankar, or ego. Ahankar is our sense of identity, our sense of identification. It is sometimes given by sages as the example of a monkey trap. There's a type of monkey trap that's sometimes used where you have a narrow mouth vase or pitcher, and a very nice ripe piece of fruit is put inside. And there's a monkey that comes and makes trouble, so someone will put out this monkey trap. The monkey puts its hand inside to grab the fruit, but it cannot withdraw its hand holding the fruit. But the monkey, being stubborn, won't let go of the fruit, so the monkey is trapped, and then the farmer can come along and capture the monkey very easily. Otherwise, it's very hard to capture a monkey. This is the analogy that's given in terms of our identification with the ego. The ego is what is binding the Atma's pure sense of identity with the divine as a spark of divine energy, and instead we are transferring our identification to this body that we reside in. The body is a temporary residence. It is like getting in a car. I have rented a car for the day, and it's a very nice car. I am driving the car, and I don't think I car. We think, okay, this is a car I am driving, but I won't have it forever. I'm going to take care of this car, but I'll have to get out of it. This is not myself. This is just a car I'm driving. Similarly, the body is a vehicle. It's a vehicle for the Atma, for us to try to fulfill desires and to try to do things. The things that we do when this body dies, we won't take with us. Only the results of good deeds will follow us, as well as the results of our bad deeds. If we perform misdeeds, if we take advantage of others, if we do things that cause injury to others, those bad deeds will also follow us. Those results will also follow us. But we enter this world naked and we leave naked. And ultimately the body will end, but the soul, the Atma, is what will persist.
Can you talk about some verses from the Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam about this? Like this, in Bhagavatam, there is the verse about in Kali Yuga, current Yuga, or current time, what is happening?
Well, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many discussions about Kali Yuga, this present age. It is characterized as an age of quarrel and hypocrisy, where at the beginning of this age, dharma, or righteousness, has already been reduced by 3/4, and only one part is remaining. And that final portion is being eroded day by day, until by the end of Kali Yuga, there is no more righteousness left in this world at all. Sometimes it seems that in our present day, we are seeing a visible day-by-day erosion of righteousness. But in reality, there tends to be cycles. There are waves. Sometimes the waves go high and sometimes they go low. And right now we're in a very low time, and we're experiencing a trough. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Mandasu mandamatayo mandabhagya upadruta. In this age of Kali, people are generally unfortunate and misguided, unlucky, and they generally have short lives. We're always facing some type of disturbance. And currently, there is increasing disturbance due to climate change. And there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that this is related to the unbounded acceleration of industrial progress, where we found efficient ways to have machines that produce things that we think will make us happy. But we are poisoning the environment, we are increasing CO2 levels in the atmosphere, and there's a measurable effect. So in these times, we are also suffering the results of our own activities.
So I just want to make it clear for our listeners what that Kali meant. So according to Vedas, according to our Vedic texts, time is divided into yuga. It's like a round cycle. And the first is Satayuga, where everyone is very righteous and, dharma prevails. And this is followed by Treta Yuga. And Sri Ram came in Treta Yuga, which is followed by Dwapar Yuga, and Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga at the end of Dwapar Yuga. And when Krishna left, as soon as Krishna left, Kali Yuga began. So the qualities of people and dharma is being reduced. It is said that in Satayuga, I think it is Yagya, is it?
Tritayadhyayato Vishnum Tretayam yajato makhe dvapare paricharyayam kalau tad dharikirtana. In the Satya Yuga, what was achieved by meditation, meditating upon Bhagavan Vishnu within the heart for a very long time, this was achieved in Treta Yuga by performing great yagyas or sacrifices, especially fire ceremonies. And then Dwapare Paricharyayam, by doing temple worship in the Dwapara Yuga, and the same result can be achieved by doing Hari Kirtan, by singing and chanting names of God in Kali Yuga. This is a redeeming quality of Kali Yuga. Despite all of its inauspiciousness, there has been given one great redeeming quality, that simply by chanting and singing names of God, we can actually achieve realization in this Kali Yuga.
So the bottom line is, we are in the part of the time which is Kali Yuga, and at the end of the Kali Yuga, things finish and again Satayuga starts. But right now we're in the beginning of the Kali Yuga, and we are seeing, like you said, erosion of climate change. There's so much disturbance. And what we can do to heal ourselves is to chant and kirtan, and this is what's written in Srimad Bhagavatam. In order to heal ourselves, we must chant. And can you give examples of some chants that we can do?
Yes, there are many chants, and the process of chanting is also a recommended process for social unity and spiritual unity, for people to be able to come together. And this is it's not a sectarian thing. For example, in the times of the civil rights movement, when I was still a young child in the 1960s, and Martin Luther King was leading people, and they were singing, hymns, and they were subject to severe persecution. It has very many unpleasant analogies and parallels to events of today. But when people have a peaceful identification with a unity of spiritual purpose, this is actually the way to peace. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surhridam sarvabhutanam Gatva mam shantam richati. My Guruji used to say this is the universal peace formula, understanding that Krishna, Bhagavan, is the enjoyer of all types of sacrifices and tapasya, and he is the master of all worlds. Then there are many worlds, and the well-wisher of all beings. One can actually attain peace. So chanting can be done individually, and this will raise our consciousness. Chanting can also be done in a group, and this is called Sankirtan. And some chants that are especially good are the Maha Mantra. Maha Mantra is recommended for the age of Kali. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Itisho dashakam namnam kalikalmashanashanam nata parataropaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. This is given in Kali Santarana Upanishad, that chanting these names, Hare Krishna Rama, in this mantra, this will specifically give us a counter against the evils of Kali Yuga, and we will actually attain supreme peace. Because the disease, the root cause of all of these problems is ignorance. When we misidentify with pleasures of the body as the end-all and be-all, and we make that our supreme goal, and we trample over others to attain our goals, to have more money, more wealth, more comforts, this is all caused by ignorance. And when we come in contact with these spiritual names, it helps release us from this misidentification and give us contact with our original source of supreme bliss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, that was beautiful. In even simply chanting this one name, Ram, 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 Ram is good. It's very simple. Want to end by doing a little kirtan. Kirtan is what you were talking about. Jai Radha Krishna Govinda Gopala Nanda Dulala Jasoda Dulala Jaya Jaya Deva Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.